Welcome back to the vlog, everybody. Today we're taking a big trip where we're going to Calgary and then beyond. We're going to join the Royal Rally today, and actually we're going to take the M5. But unfortunately, guys, look at the weather here. It doesn't look like it turned out very well today. However, that's okay. Forecast says it's looking pretty good. So we're going to get the car going here. Remember, it's an M5. You have to warm it up. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to head down, get the decals done up today, stop for a snack on the way, and get rolling. Let's go. Beauty. Gotta love that exhaust. You guys are gonna hear a lot more of the M5 exhaust. Why? Because we're taking this car on the long trip, and also it's going to be about 1,000-kilometer journey round trip. So you're gonna enjoy what it's about to own an M5 for long distance driving. Let's go. Okay, so let's hit the road with my pilot, Greta, my wife, and we're gonna get going here. Let's get some gas and get strolling. The gas station, one of the main things you're gonna learn about how to run a gas pump when you drive an M5, because it uses gas a lot. Yeah, what kind of breakfast sandwich, bacon and eggs, large regular coffee? No, I'm good, thanks. On the M5, you can almost watch the gas gauge go down as you watch it. It seems to be crawling down. These things are so heavy on fuel. Look how cold it's actually only 4 degrees. I hope the M5 can get traction. We'll see. So a lot of people are skeptics when they talk about the E60 M5, which we're driving in here. And now, actually, the way it turns out, not only are we joining the Royal Rally, but we're actually going to take and test the E60 M5 here. More or less, we're gonna run about 1,000 miles a round trip on this trip. So we're gonna see in 1,000 miles time how much fuel we're going to use. If we have any issues, we're also gonna share with you some of the stops and some of the issues and some of the fun and excursions that we do along the way. So really that's what this trip is about, sharing the excursion with you guys, sharing the experience. So we're going to more or less just give you some of the highlights along the way. We're going to do little drop-ins here and there. I understand there's going to be a whole host of different challenges along the way, and there are competitions, prizes to be won. But we'll see if the M5 can keep up, this old M5 can keep up with some of the big guns. I know there's big guns. We've got Aventadors. I see Huracans coming, McLarens of all kinds. There's Porsches, GT3s, and more. I mean, we've got everything, even hot rods, Camaro SS's, and I mean, there's everything coming out to this show. So we're gonna see how the M5 fares against some of these cars, and you know what? It'll be interesting driving along with these guys. It's gonna be a lot of fun. This guy, holy fuck, he's riding his motorbike. You see that? Holy shit, he must be cold. Fucking 1 degree out here. Wow, there's actually snow on the ground. This is ridiculous for June, I have to say. So we finally made it to Airdrie here. We're gonna get the decals put on here at House of Cars. It was a tough drive, honestly. When we made it about halfway, there was a bunch of snow, and I looked on the temperature gauge here on the car, external temperature, and we were down to 0 degrees Celsius. I mean, that's 32 degrees Fahrenheit. There was snow on the road, and with these Pilot Sport slicks on the back of this car, I was really worried. The car was getting a little dancy out there, to be honest, but actually we made it here in one piece. Now we're gonna move in and get the decals put on. Let's check it out. But boy, I'm surprised we got here with the massive brutal weather. We had snow there in Red Deer, and the pilot's front tires was a bad mix. The Royal Rally getting our decals done, and who do I run into? Another fellow YouTuber here by the name of Jeff. Runs a great channel by the name of HQ BMW. Let's go meet Jeff. How you doing, Jeff? Nice to run into you here.
Likewise.
So what are you rolling in? What kind of car are you driving here today?
Today I'm actually rolling in my 2019 Melantra. Yes, I put an M badge on my Melantra. Just for jokes, just to trigger any one of you guys. But really, my actual car is a 2013 BMW F30. That's on bags, it's tuned, downpipes, charge pipe, aftermarket wheels, crazy wrap. If you want to see it, you can go watch my build at HQ BMW.
So just got the decals all installed on the car, and it looks awesome, guys. Here, check it out. Look at this. This is Jeff's YouTube channel. We have Royal Rally, of course, Badlands. That's what the rally's called. Now, before we get ready to run for tomorrow's rally, we better make sure we're topped up on fluids. This is pretty typical for an M5. Always adding a little bit of oil here and there. So let's put a little bit in, make sure we're topped right up. We should be good to go. Yeah, my co-pilot said to follow you guys. She figured we're heading for lunch, but
like, where we're going? They're like, just follow them. And then when you guys turned in, I'm like, he's like, look, his gas out.
So now we've been on the rally. We've been here almost one full day cruising along on the rally, and I'm looking at the oil consumption on the M5 here, and it's actually a whole lot less than I normally experience when driving around the city. I mean, the RPMs are up, and the revs have been escalated, let's just put it that way, throughout the rally. But it's funny enough to see that the oil consumption is not really going, you know, it's not going very far. So in other words, the car seems to be using a lot less oil when running at higher revs and really stretching its legs. So far what I've seen, I had 1.0, when I topped the oil up before we started the rally, I had exactly 1.0 on the gauge. And now it shows after we've been driving, probably 400 or 500 miles so far, and it's still at 0.9. So it's obviously signs that, you know what, I think this car likes the revs, it likes to work, it likes the exercise. So anyway, that's what I found so far. So far, it's been a great trip. We're on day 2 of the rally, and actually we've had really relatively uneventful, but we've had a lot of great drives, you know, challenges with the rally itself. The car, the M5, has been really good, and honestly, we put on probably about 1,400 kilometers. In that, you know, we're probably about 900 miles so far on the trip. And honestly, the oil that I added that first day we haven't had to add any more. It's been really, really good. The car has performed flawlessly and doesn't use oil when it's running at high speed. High speed being, of course, highway speed, 100 kilometers an hour in the posted speed limit. But other than hitting the odd bird, I know I popped a gopher a couple of times. One of the other things, we ended up with a big rock chip on the window. I mean, you can't help that. That's an unfortunate set of circumstances. And that was more or less done by the rally photography crew. I actually was riding along the curb there and picked up a stone and kind of whacked the windshield, unfortunately, but that's the way it goes, I guess. So anyway, we're cruising along, and the car's been pretty decent on fuel, but more importantly, it's been really good on the lack of oil consumption. So it's been a lot of fun. I'll keep you posted. Let's keep going. Rumor has it we're going to run our cars in a half-mile drag race on a private track, a track that's legal, of course. We're gonna see where our cars, actually with the M5, I'm gonna see how it ranks with the rest of the crew. Well, it looks like I'm going to be racing an M6 Grand Coupe. Hey, go! How'd you guys do? 14.5. 14.5? That's pretty solid, eh?
I thought I was going to do better.
We're not at those California guys. They got an advantage. So far we've had a little bit of collateral damage on this trip. We took out a couple of birds, we popped a gopher, and now we passed a vehicle that was riding on the shoulder, kicked up this nice stone here. We wound up with a nice little lovely stone chip up here. So for the most part, not a major, but again, you know, we've had some of these little damages along the way. Pretty typical, I think, for the most part, when you get into these rallies and you do a lot of highway driving in a short period of time. But anyway, yeah, so it's been fun so far. Anyway, let's gas up for now. All right, let's get this done. I think what we'll do is we'll clean up the windshield real quick and the bumper, get some of those bugs, the ugly bugs off. These tires had about 40-50% left on them when we set off on the rally. But the thing is, of course, we ended up hitting a racetrack and we did some spirited driving through some really windy roads. And as a result, that 40-50% tread left before we left ended up looking more like this, where you have like this, where you actually have cupping and wear and tear, and on the inside edge of that tire, it's pretty much worn right to the treads. As a matter of fact, if you look at the other side, this side here is even better, where you can actually see some of the treads coming through here, barely starting to pop through. So that there suggests new tires are imminent. So we finally made it home at the end of our journey here. We've made it down to the rally. We participated in the rally and we basically got the car back more or less in one piece. It was a great experience, but the BMW, like I said, I thought I'd test run it, take it for a long road trip. And so we logged about 1,500 miles on this car round trip between all the driving during the rally as well as the to and from to the rally points and everything else. So we put on a fair amount of kilometers or miles, depends how you want to look at it. Now there was a little bit of batter and wear. We had a broken windshield. We got a rock that came off one of the camera guys, kind of busted a chip right there, and so now we are looking at a new windshield. The front tires are actually on the inner side because of the camber of the wheels. The inside edge, not this outer edge, but the inner edge, way inside right there, is actually worn out. It's pretty much down to the treads. Now the tires weren't new when I left here. They were, I would say they're about 40-50%. We figured we had enough wear. They were still pretty solid. There's still a lot of tread left. But, you know, get into a lot of the corners, and this car, I mean, it's a big tank. This is about 4,000 pounds. Because it's such a heavy machine, it actually ended up taking up a lot of, it ended up eating up a lot of rubber on the front end, going through carving the corners with this heavy weight. So now it looks like we'll be utilizing, or now it looks like we'll be upgrading the tires. So overall, what did we spend? I mean, ultimately the car performed flawlessly. So we drove this car a return trip down southern Alberta. We did a bunch of driving around throughout the rally, as well as we actually had a track day where we did some drag runs in a 1/4 mile strip, and I actually have those times to report as well. But the car performed flawlessly, other than a little wear and tear on the glass and the tires on the front. The car has actually held up very, very well. As well, it didn't seem to use really much for oil. As a matter of fact, the gauge, the electronic dipstick on the car, still registers 0.9. And when I topped it up, when I made that first trip to Calgary, so 3 hours into the trip, about 300 kilometers into the trip, I first topped it up to 1.0 on the gauge. Not 1.1, but 1.0. And as a result, from that 1.0, we returned home after almost 1,500, well, about 1,200 miles. About 1,200 miles later, this car really is still down at 0.9. So it used very, very little oil. And honestly, with the revs that were elevated throughout a lot of the driving, it surprises me that this car didn't use more oil. So it did very, very well. It shifted perfectly. It was very competitive on the drag track. And I was very proud of this great E60 M5. So guys, I just want to share with my experience with you guys. And just to let you know, I have a newfound respect for this 2006 E60 M5 with the V10. Everybody talks about how unreliable they are, but in essence, they're only unreliable if you really beat them to crap and you don't take care of them. I mean, I maintain the car, we drive it hard, but we definitely enjoy it and take care of it at the same token. So it's been very good. So again, everybody, I really hope you enjoyed the video and the vlog. Definitely, I hope that shed some light on it for you about our trip down to, you know, about 1,200 miles in the M5. Again, if you want to see a lot more great vlog content, definitely don't forget to subscribe to the channel below. You're going to enjoy it. Again, thanks again. Mark here signing out. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.